Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host Evan Teague, and with me, like always, is Noah Bailey. So it finally happened after years of rumors and speculations and people saying it would come out on this day and then being wrong and then them being like, oh, actually it got delayed to this day and then they were wrong again. And then finally someone was finally right if actually was announced on January 17th. The Nintendo Switch 2 finally was announced.
Oh,
What are your thoughts?
yeah, more console. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, looks cool. I mean, it's been a while because it's what 2017,
Mm-hmm.
so it's been so we're
8
going
years.
on 8 years. Yeah, so I mean, the Switch is one of those things that you kind of don't realize how long, or at least I didn't realize how long it's been out because like when I was in we were in college, like my
Mm-hmm.
roommate had one, and it was like when it was like just came out, I was like, oh wow, this is cool, this is awesome. We played like Smash Bros and Mario Kart, and then you realize you're like, wow, that was like what sophomore year of college. That was
Mm-hmm.
like forever. That's almost that's forever ago. And you're like, oh wow, yeah. Since then, I've like finished college and like been out of college for years and been like working like an adult for years. And I'm like, oh wow, it has been like it's in your head. You're like, oh, it hasn't been that long. And then you realize how much time's that. And you're like, oh, maybe it has been a while.
Maybe.
So yeah, I don't. I got to switch like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and so for
Mm.
me it doesn't feel super old because I got one of the OLEDs and it was a couple years ago, and it's like yeah, but that's not the original that's been out since 2017, and like
Yeah.
that's like yeah, we're ready for the next chapter.
Yes. Like you said, it is different for you because I've had it since June of 2017.
Right,
You've had it since like Christmas
like
2022, right?
basically yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, even in just the time you've had it, there's been a lot of great games, namely
Oh
Tears of the
yeah,
Kingdom. That is the game you get that console for.
yeah.
um, but yeah, I'm curious what your overall thoughts about. We'll actually go over the announcement trailer in just a bit here. I'm curious what your overall thoughts about like the look of it and just first opinions about what they showed because a lot of people seem to be a little, I guess, disappointed that it seems to just be a bigger and better Switch. Is that like, do you care at all that it's just that we're expecting something different?
I mean, on the one hand, I'm like, isn't that kind of the point? Like, it's the Switch too, So it's
Yes.
like it's supposed to look similar, which it does. I mean, it's a basically like a black bird. I mean, well, it's kind of the same. It's like
Mm.
it kind of looks the same, but like slightly improved, which is kind of exactly how you expect. Like, when it's a two or like,
Mm-hmm.
like an Xbox to Xbox 360, it's like, yeah, that's kind of the point. It kind of looks the same. It just does stuff better. That's kind of the
Yep.
idea. So I'm not really surprised or like, definitely not disappointed. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't really expect anything else, to be honest.
Yeah. Like that's my exact thoughts. Like whenever PlayStation makes a new console, they just call it the PlayStation 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's rarely any new like real innovations or gimmicks with their system. They just release an updated, you know, like they're usually, they're pretty much always really good systems and a lot of good games come to them, but it's just a better console. But for some reason when it's Nintendo, because historically, they have been these great innovators, when they finally strike gold after the failure of the Wii U, they're gonna play it safe the next time. That just makes sense.
Yeah.
And like for the past, 8 years, all I wanted is just a better one of these, and that's what we're getting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, it's exactly what you would expect to have. I think a lot of people obviously were very big on the Switch. Everyone seems to have one. And it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, do what's working, obviously. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
what video games do best. I mean, yeah, every now and again you kind of mix it up, and Nintendo is specifically kind of like you noted, like they're usually a little more mixing up than versus like, oh, PlayStation 5. I wonder what's coming next. You know what I mean? Like, so, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Especially when how successful it's been lately, and
Hmm.
with a lot of the games that have been coming out, and now like trying to get more games, like, just keep going. Doing
Yeah.
great.
And knowing Nintendo, and we will see some of this in the actual trailer. Even though the form factor is very similar, I would not be surprised if there are a lot of things about the system that do end up actually being pretty innovative, given the limitations of just being a bigger Switch. Speaking of that, let's hop over to the reveal trailer here. Oh, hang on. That's not, okay, hang on. Why was that not, why didn't that do what I wanted to do? Why can't I see you? Can you see me?
Yeah. Yeah. It looks perfect.
Okay. Let's try one more thing here. Huh. Weird. I'm not seeing you or me down there, but that's okay because am I frozen?
Nope.
You're not. I'm not. Okay.
No, you're moving.
Okay. Fine. We'll roll with it.
Do you want to run with this one, or do you want to run with the one where it's like bigger in the screen in the middle?
Well, the problem is I can't see you at all.
Ah,
I don't
okay.
know I don't know what it looks like on your end. Um, in that case, just for your sake, let's
Okay.
do it
Do the first
this
one.
way, I guess. Is that fine?
Yes. Yeah. This is the
Okay.
ideal way. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, I don't think I have music on, but music doesn't really matter for this. Um, let's just get right into the presentation here. Immediately, I think it is so incredibly smart for them to do it this way, where they show the original Switch, and then everything for the rest of the trailer showing how this is different. Because if you're unaware, one of the big reasons why people claim the Wii U fail was that they didn't understand that it was a brand new system. Whereas here, this was the old Switch. This is the new Switch. Everything about it is
Right.
different, even though it looks very similar. Like, here are all the things that are different. So I think that was good out of the gate here.
Yeah.
Literally seeing it transform into the new Switch. So this little like black circle here to the right of the volume button, some people are speculating that might be some kind of IR sensor or a camera of some kind.
Ooh.
Yeah, and if that is the case, that's actually pretty exciting because one of my favorite features of the Wii U is you can use the gamepad um, as a remote control for your TV, whereas the Switch can't really do that. And I think it could be fun, like if you have the Switch in handheld mode, there is a way you can either control your TV with that, or if it's a camera, certain games can interact with that camera that way. Um, or just easier ability to connect between systems. There's a lot of things they can do with just that one little IR sensor there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also really neat. This system will have a USB port on the top and the bottom. The Switch currently only has one on the bottom, which is good for a couple of things. A, when you're playing in tabletop mode you can't really charge it because the because the the where the port is for the charger is there on the table, so you can't really charge it. Whereas here, it looks like since it's on the top and bottom, you can charge it either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also that will allow them to potentially have other like accessories that can plug in or do whatever. It's Nintendo. I'm sure they have a ton of just crazy stuff planned for this thing. So having an extra port to work with is, I think, a good idea. Plus, I appreciate that even though they eventually got Bluetooth headphones working on the Switch, they still have the option to use headphones. So good on them.
Yeah, it's pretty rare these days because
Right.
Bluetooth everything.
I was this close to getting a Google Pixel, and then like the second iteration of the Google Pixel took out the headphone jack. It's like, well, I don't want that. I like my headphone jacks.
Like, well, sorry.
Oh, that kickstand is glorious. So I'm sure you know the kickstand on the original Switch is absolutely garbage. I have my Switch here. I don't know why it's just this limp little thing on one side. I don't know why they didn't have at least one on both sides, so it's at least a little more secure. Why is it off to the side? Why isn't it in the middle? There, like nothing about the kickstand makes sense. It seemed like an afterthought. And then when the Switch OLED came out, they had it where essentially the entire back panel could flip out to about the same range of degree as this kickstand here. And like the main difference is whereas that was an entire like one solid unit that could flip out, this does have that hole in the middle, but I do think because it has the same points of connection with whatever surface, I think it should be at least as secure as that. Yeah, and again, showing that it can go all the way down, whereas the Switch one cannot. It's basically standing straight up. Okay, now here, hang on. Okay, here we go. Old Joy-Con, new Joy-Con, a lot bigger.
A lot bigger, which is good because I know a lot of people. It's like because the buttons were super tiny on these things. I mean, we were playing the other day. I mean, it is a struggle and a half trying to use these little buttons, and it's like your whole hand just like engulfs it, and it's like, wow, I can barely this. So having a bigger Joy-Cons, bigger buttons, like definitely a plus. I think everyone across the board was like, please.
Absolutely, and I like that the R button on this controller is a lot longer, going around more of the curve here, whereas the original one just a little thing that just barely sticks up. Like when we were playing Mario Kart, my right Joy-Con it's been having issues for years now. At this point, I usually only play with the Pro Controller, but a lot of the times the right trigger would get like stuck, so I had to use the right bumper, and it's so like it doesn't really even feel like a button. It's just like I wasn't even sure if I was like holding it down or if it was even like working most of the time. Whereas this, like, there's more button to press. It looks bigger, more like there's more range of motion on it. So just all of that looks like a massive improvement.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is definitely, I think, one of the most overall requested things, because it's just like, and everyone's like, oh, I got stuck with the Joy-Con. It's like, oh, that sucks. Like, there's, you know what I mean? Like, the Joy-Con is just like a death sentence where it's like, okay, now this is actually like worth using.
Yeah.
Potentially.
And one interesting thing about this right here, below the home button, there's this little square button that here is not showing anything on the button. But there's been a lot of rumors and like spec leaks and stuff that indicate that this will be what is considered a C button. Now, No one knows what that means. C can mean a lot of things. It can mean cast, connect, chat. Like there's a lot of things that could mean. And I don't know why they didn't. Why they're being coy with that button's existence, because it's not just going to be a blank button for no reason. Um, but that I guess they'll reveal more about that in the actual presentation. But yeah, that's just something to kind of look out for with people saying, "Oh, not a lot has changed with this thing." There's a whole button that we don't know about yet. So, and okay, I really like the bigger buttons here because on the original Joy Cons, if you're holding it on the side, those buttons are so small. Like unless you have like the grip attachment things, you can like you can't like find them super well. Like, these are more protruded out. They look just again to have more range of motion. They just look like better buttons. Um, and also there is this to the left of the like connector port thing. There's this little thing that a lot of people are saying might be another IR sensor, which we'll see in just a minute how that might be used. So put a pin in that. Better look at it, and here we go. Here we go. What you're seeing right here is also something that was heavily rumored, like for like a new feature for the Switch. Is the people are saying that the Switch 2's Joy Cons can essentially be put on their side to be used as a mouse. That's why they're being shown to like slide around like this.
Whoa.
Like they're even like I know that's the wrist strap, but they're even like shown to have that tail like a mouse does. And it that just opens up so many possibilities for for like shooter games, for like strategy games. You're just accessing menus better, assuming it's ergonomic and actually works well. Like that's really cool that they thought of that.
Something I would have never thought of, but so interesting because it's like, yeah, that opens up a lot of window. And like the thing too is like, especially if you're somebody coming from like PC or something, maybe that
Mm-hmm.
adds a new element to it. You're like, oh, maybe I can get into this more than I thought.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I wonder how feasible it'll be to be moving with one of the Joy-Con mice and then also having the other Joy-Con in the other hand, you know, using the joystick and triggers. Like I think that
Be awesome.
be awesome. Yeah. Now one just kind of actually I'll wait till they're actually snap on. I'll put it here. One kind of criticism I have with the way the Switch Joy Cons look is I kind of wish there was a little more color on the actual face buttons and D buttons here because like I like the contrast of the black on the like salmony, orangey red, whatever that is, and then the blue over here. I like those colors together, but I do wish um, the face buttons had a little more pop of color. You know?
Yeah, I can see that. But I guess on the other hand, you don't want it to look too much like with the like black whole thing. You don't want to look too much like I don't know PlayStation or something with like the colored buttons though too, because it like I don't know. You kind of make I
Okay.
don't know because kind of make it its own thing. But I don't know. I mean, that's just a thought. But
Yeah, that's fair. And then instead of clicking in, they snapping in. They I guess instead of sliding in. That's what I'm looking for. So sliding in, they like snap in.
Like magnet snap. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that a lot better because the whole like trying to like slide it and like, oh, is it the right way or wrong? Like that was that kind of got well, it's still kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So I like that idea a lot better.
Yeah, and I think like this screenshot right here, I don't know. I personally have a Switch that has a blue and a yellow Joy-Con, so I like my consoles having a little more color when possible, and they're fine when they're detached because there is that I'd say orange and blue like band on the side, but when they're snapped in, there's almost no color outside of the ring around the Joy-Con. So I just wish there was a little more color around, but it's not a huge deal. I think this system, here still looks very, very sleek, very new, honestly. I think that's good. They're going for that. And then 2. no gimmicky name, no frills, no, it's just Switch 2. That's all it needs to be.
That's all. Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, there's no, you don't have to sugarcoat it. You don't have to make it, it doesn't have to be over the top fancy. It's exactly what it is.
A lot of people were like, oh, they should have called it the Super Nintendo Switch or the Switch Snap or the Switch, like, something. No, because first of all, Nintendo learned from their mistakes. They learned that, although I personally think the Wii U was a pretty solid system, the name did kind of mess them up because like Wii U doesn't really like at face value indicate a new system. I could easily see how someone could get confused by that. So, and even though Super Nintendo Switch does, should elicit, oh, this is a brand new thing, 2 is way more clear about that. Plus, if you use Super Nintendo Switch, you could only, assuming you want to keep the Switch concept for the long haul, what are you going to call the next one? The Ultra Nintendo Switch? The Mega? The
it's like super duper?
Yeah, there's only so many times you can iterate on those kinds of words. Whereas you can go, from 2 up to infinity, assuming you keep making these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can go back to 1 for some reason.
What is better than 360? I know. Geniuses. Just a little. There. Here we go. Here's the money shot right here. So my first initial reaction when seeing this shot here was, oh, the bezels are a little bigger than I was hoping they would be. On the Switch OLED, they managed to get that screen to be almost bezel-less, like the gameplay went pretty much towards the ends, but it is a lot better than the original Switch, and the screen size itself is so much bigger, I probably won't even care. Plus, if you can kind of visualize where the, like, not rails, but like those, those bars on the end of the Joy-Cons, like where they snap in, that's like most of where the left and right bezel is.
Right.
So that's probably all they could do, which, like, it's whatever. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people be weirdly confused about why Nintendo would showcase a new Mario Kart running as their first Switch game. And 2 things. First, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the highest selling game on Nintendo Switch. So they want all of those people to buy a Switch too. So showing, oh, there's a new Mario Kart on this system. Yeah, I want to buy that because we've had Mario Kart 8 for the past 10 years now. Sorry, 11 years now.
Yeah, that's a carryover.
Yeah. It came out in 2014 for the Wii U, and then came out on the Switch in 2017. Then we got the booster courses of 2022, and like, yeah, those are. It's nice that we finally got new, some new Mario Kart content on the Switch, but it's still the same game for the past 11 years, more or less. Um, so it's good to know that there is a new Mario Kart coming early in its life. But also, I think this, as we'll see more when we see more gameplay, this game is kind of subtly showing just how much better and just how much stronger this system is than the Switch was. I'll let it play for a little bit more to kind of really show that. Just the way things are just glossier, things just have more texture to them. There's a lot of squash and stretch motion happening on the carts. The designs are a little different for a lot of these characters. Like Bowser, his head is nearly as big, and he looks just, his model is clearly very different. And then once we get to the part where it's showing on the TV, I think it's coming up here. Okay, so I'm going to back up just a little bit. Okay, here we go. There are 24 starting spots on this track here.
Oh no.
Mario Kart up until this point has only ever had 8 and then 12 for the last several games. And I was like, oh, maybe they'll go up to 16. They went up the last time they went up to 4, but this time 24.
Bro, imagine 200cc with 24 people.
I don't want to imagine that. Imagine being in third place. You're within, you can see the guy in front of you, and then get hit by something, and then all of a sudden 8 people pass you, and then 4 more pass you.
One red shell, you go from first to 17.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh,
that sounds awesome though. Imagine how
right?
cutthroat that would get. That'd be amazing.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it sounds miserable, but also it sounds amazing. It sounds really
so
fun.
Awesome. Because at that point, it's just a Mad Max race. At that point, it's
exactly.
we just have everybody just going. That's so exciting.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to get at. Showing just the first thing you see of this gameplay is that there's going to be 24 racers. That is twice the processing power, just off rip, from what the Switch was doing. Not including all of the items that are happening, all of the particle effects, all of the just so much stuff that is going to be happening, per race, with 24 racers happening all at the same time. And just the draw distance off the mountain, just the way the fog is working, just the way light is reflecting off all these characters, it clearly looks a lot better than the Switch. Here we go. You can even see potentially, they're obviously going straight here, but there's a track to the left and to the right. These maps could be a lot bigger to help facilitate 24 characters. So, yeah.
And this is just Mario Kart, and we're out here losing our minds. Just imagine what that's going to do for some other games.
Right? I'm sure I couldn't even possibly imagine how good Zelda will look on this system. For how good Tears of the Kingdom looks, that game looks better than most PS4 games. Because it's stylized. And I know there's there definitely were some shortcuts and stuff all along the way, but I think that game looks ridiculously good, especially for a Switch game. Imagine how good it'll look on this thing. But I do kind of question, considering there's going to be 24 racers on this Mario Kart, I'm wondering how they'll implement the past courses because every single Mario Kart has a bunch of new courses and then an equal amount of old courses.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, will they just do all new courses, especially since Mario Kart 8 has almost every single previous course. There's like maybe 8 across all of Mario Kart that isn't in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Um, will they just focus on all the new ones? Will they just pull from ones that aren't in Mario Kart 8? And the ones if they do pull from any that are past courses, will they make them bigger? Will they make them only run with 12? Like I'm not sure. I'm curious to see how they'll do that.
Yeah. I say just do it. Like, do it with 20. You know what? Baby Park 24. Let's do it. Like, let's
Right?
just let's see that madness happen. Like, I just, something like at the end of the day, it is Mario Kart, so like
Yeah.
it's gonna be insane regardless. So I think you can't really have Mario Kart without bring back some of the old ones, or at least, they'll probably take, classics and expand on them. There's going to be a Bowser's Castle that's like super crazy, I'm sure, for
Mm-hmm.
this fun. But I kind of like the idea of just like taking some of the old ones and just be like, you know what? Yeah, it's 24 now. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
Yeah, be awesome.
Like, man, imagine Rainbow Road with 24 characters. Just
Yeah,
you
bumped
are
by
you are never staying
everybody.
on
Just
that.
No, just no chance of staying on. Everyone's got bumped. My thing is, what kind of items are we gonna have with 24 people? Because like, they're gonna have to add some new stuff.
Right. Yeah, because like I feel like they're gonna have several new items to help balance for the people in the far back who
Mm-hmm.
you know would like to to
Yeah,
get
it's
up. Like
like,
I don't know.
there's got to be. Cause obviously, keep like the lightnings, bullets, and stuff. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe they'll have something new. What if they had? What if there was like a place items like switcher? Like you could just like, oh, if I'm in this place, I get like a random number and I just automatically switch with somebody just
Ooh,
straight up. Like I don't. Could you imagine?
yes, like that would be really cool.
Right? You're in like 20th place, and then
Mm.
you just get one. It's like, and it just randomly goes to 4. You just pop up 4, and the person in 4 is like, "What?"
What if it's a thing where like it's one of those items that you can only get if you're in the bottom half, but
Right.
it technically could actually swap you with someone behind you. It's like there's a small chance to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
someone behind you, but
exactly. It
like,
could pretty much, yeah, it's like a random, it's like, it's the worth the risk. If you're pretty much near the back, you're like, well, worst that could happen. But yeah, you could be like in like 12th, and then you get put in last place, and you're like,
mm,
what the heck? Like,
that'd be
I
cool.
like that. I think, I don't know, like Nintendo, look into that. That's I
Yeah.
don't know. I think that add to the chaos.
Yeah, and there's been several Mario stuff that's come out since Mario Kart 8 because we have um, Mario Odyssey, we have Mario Wonder, several new Mario parties. Like there's just been a lot of new Mario content since that they could pull from. So yeah, that's exciting. I do
Yeah.
kind of lament the fact that Mario Kart was the only game showcased because when the Switch was first announced back in 2016, like the first thing we saw was Breath of the Wild running on it, and then throughout the trailer we also saw a Mystery Mario game, which ended up being Odyssey. We saw a early look at Splatoon 2. We saw Skyrim running on it. We saw a NBA game. I think there was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe also. Like there were several games kind of shown sporadically throughout the trailer, and I kind of wish maybe there was one other game, just like a short glimpse of something else. But I do think this game, even if it just subtly does showcase that this system will be way beefier than the other one. So
Mhm.
I think it's fine. Just the impatient one in me wants more stuff now. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is just the first look. There's gonna be the real reveal, direct and all
Go
that
ahead.
stuff. So
Play this more. This is incredibly smart. So when it was like back in November, Nintendo just in a random Tuesday tweeted out, "Oh, just let y'all know, the successor to the Nintendo Switch will be backwards compatible with all Nintendo Switch software." And for some stupid reason, there was a sizable amount of people who took them saying software to mean only digital titles. I don't know how they came to that, but that's what happened. So here, they're specifically saying plays Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games as well as Nintendo Switch games. Nintendo Switch 2 plays both physical and digital Nintendo Switch games.
yeah.
Like you're showing the game cart of Mario Wonder on both. And this is also just a good indication of, the bezels aren't ideal, but they're way better than what's on the Switch over here.
Right. And again, it's like, listen, it's bigger, it's brighter, it's more powerful, and it's worth getting.
Yeah. And then a lot of people, when they saw this next sentence, also kind of freaked out unwarrantedly. Certain Nintendo Switch games may not be supported or fully compatible with Nintendo Switch 2. I guarantee that any game any normal person has and still plays will be playable on Nintendo Switch 2. Mm-hmm. The only games that will not be playable are games that use the little IR sensor that's on the right Joy-Con. That's 11 games total. I think someone said there's only 11 games that use that little IR sensor. Even then, one of these Joy-Cons might have an IR sensor somewhere, so those still maybe could be used. And any games that have some kind of accessory that Joy-Cons slide into, like Ring Fit Adventure or Labo, those games will work with these Joy-Cons. So again, that's 3 or 4 games total.
Yeah, at that point, it's
yeah. So no, it's not saying that something like Tears of the Kingdom or Mario Party or any of the important games, those will all be playable. This is just blanket PR speak for just so we won't get sued in case one random game isn't playable. Most of them will be, but just in case some random game you have isn't playable.
Some game no one's ever played is it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Sue Nintendo.
So it's just, covering their butt just in case. It's also just, a good indicator of just side by side just how much bigger the Switch 2 will be. And that's one thing I'm a little, maybe not concerned of, but I don't know. The Switch already has a little bit of heft to it. It's not heavy, but after decent handheld gaming session, it can start to feel a little hefty. I'm curious just how much heavier the Switch 2 will be. Obviously, we'll get there eventually. But lastly, they stayed on this. Okay. Nintendo Direct will happen on April 2nd. So it's 2.5 months away before we find new information.
I mean, hey, at least we know it's coming and it's going to be this year. And we know, we already know what it looks like and, things like that. So, I feel like that's the biggest thing. So,
yes.
Now it's it's just waiting. But hey, who knows? Maybe it'll drop right in the summer, right in time for when kids get out of school. So
yeah, and there's evidence of that exact thing because after this they show there will be a series of hand-on events around the world. Those ending in early June. I think the last one's in South Korea, June 5th or something. So that means that
logically
June 11th or whatever the following Friday would be the earliest time the Switch 2 could come out, assuming it's not going to run concurrent with those hand-on events. So
yeah,
I'm going to say middle of June is probably the earliest it's going to come out, and I'm I think that's a good time because, like you said, kids are getting out of school. That's a good time for
Yeah.
uh, that gives Nintendo enough time to build a library from June until November, like they did with the Switch One, where it came out in March. About the time November came around, Black Friday holiday shopping, there's
Mm-hmm.
a wealth of games to buy along with your system, made it worth it. Like it, that's
Everyone gets one for Christmas, and you
yeah.
make billions of dollars and or millions of dollars, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me turn my camera off for just a second here. Um, uh, but yeah, I think. Ooh, oh no! How
it's
weird.
like half frozen, half not. It's
Let
a
me
lot.
try. Let me try again. Okay.
Hmm.
Weird. Anyway, we'll roll with it for now. But yeah, are there any any other thoughts about the Switch 2 has you have right now? Any
I
like
mean,
reservations? Any things you want to
other
see
than
at the presentation?
other than the 2025 making me think about Avengers Endgame, but I don't know. I saw that and I immediately got. I was like New York 2012. Like immediately what I thought of. But no, no, no. Overall, I mean, it looks good. Like again, like I've kind of said earlier. I mean, I wasn't expecting anything that wasn't a simple, hey, we made this again, but better. Because like that's
Mhm.
what you do with a Switch 2 per se.
Yep.
And and I'm excited to see, it just kind of does the same thing, runs more powerful, with a new Switch for me, I always get excited about, oh yay, Nintendo's made a new console, which means we get a new version of every game we like. So there's a new Mario Kart. There's a new Smash coming out. There's a new,
Hmm.
like, this is what
Hmm.
I'm excited about because I'm like, I,
Yes.
I want the games. I want, like, yeah, the console. Oh, it's more powerful. Oh, cool. The Joy Cons are bigger. Oh, cool, cool. But where the games at? Like, that's what I'm excited. Like,
Yes.
I'm ready for some new content as far as, like, I mean, I know the most recent versions of a lot of those like games have been like kind of insane. Like Smash has a million characters now and things like that.
Hmm.
But you know what? We can do a million and one.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like let's make it work. Let's throw, let's get everybody. Let's get Crash Bandicoot in here. Like, let's just throw
Please.
some random people in
Yeah.
there. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm excited about that. As far as the actual thing, I mean, the Joy-Con, honestly, yeah, like the Joy-Con being bigger, more fit in your hand, most likely, just better overall, actually worth using was
Mhm.
probably my biggest gripe in general with them in the first place. So I mean,
Yeah.
that getting fixed fixes a lot. I'm not too big on the like, the like. I know you're a big guy with the like the stand or whatever. I always just put it on the TV if I'm not directly handholding it personally.
Yeah.
So that wasn't an issue for me. But I mean, each their own. But
Mm.
honestly, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I also just want to see how much it costs. That's the other thing that I'm always like,
Yes.
okay, whenever someone's like, yeah, look how awesome it is, and then like they don't show the price, I immediately like, my finance brain is like red flag. Not that I
Yeah.
think
They.
Nintendo's gonna be like $1,000 or anything, but like
Mhm.
I need to see it for just to be
Yeah.
sure.
They. There were a couple of things about the initial reveal of the Switch that they didn't copy here, like only showing one game, whereas there they showed like five or six. But a lot of the other like fundamentals about the original Switch they did um, copy over here. Like they the only system they showed is in the original Switch they only showed the gray Joy Cons, and that was it. And then it wasn't until the January presentation where they showed there'll be different colors. Um, they also didn't show the price for the original Switch, and then they revealed it to be $300 at that presentation. I I wholeheartedly believe at the Switch 2 presentation they will reveal there will be various color options. I know the like inside rails right where you snap it on, those are also that like orangish salmony color and the blue. But I don't think that means there won't be other color options. I think they'll just be hidden when they're snapped in, so it's fine. Um, I imagine there'll also be a white version as well, like the Switch OLED had a white variant. Because Nintendo made a crap load of money off of Joy-Con colors, like so much money off of people wanting to customize their controller. They're not
It's
just gonna.
cool.
It is very cool. They're not just gonna stop that just because the only color you saw in the reveal presentation when they only showed one game was this like dark gray with salmon and blue. That's no. There's going to be other colors.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I personally think $400 is probably about what the system will be. Any more than that, it'll have to like hit certain thresholds of like of even higher expectations in order to actually be worth that. Obviously, I would still get it regardless. But anyone thinking it'll be less than 500, I think you're kidding yourself a little bit. It would be a surprise. I would definitely like if it was 350 or 300, but I think 400 is a sweet spot for them.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if it's just I'm older now, but I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. But I'm like,
Right?
Well,
Like, with
know.
phone prices being, yearly releases of over $1,000, a PS5 Pro being $700, the Xbox One or Xbox Series, like 2 terabyte version being 600. Like, there's just
People paying
tech prices
thousands of
just,
dollars for their gaming PCs and all this stuff.
yeah, no. And people are kind of worried about all the competition from the Steam Deck and the Asus ROG Ally and the Legion Go, whatever. Like those systems are also like $600 or $700. So I think as long as Nintendo can keep this reasonably priced, that those won't be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm especially for new Smash Bros. I love Smash Ultimate, but they haven't had a balance patch for that game in over 2 years, and we're at the point where people have figured out this game to the point where some characters are just impossible to fight.
Yeah, it's like you get on the online, you're just like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. That's not, yeah.
Also excited to see how Pokemon will run in this thing.
Yeah, of course.
Legends EA, I don't think will be like a Switch 2 game. It'll definitely be a Switch game. Maybe it'll have some kind of enhancements, which is another thing just across the board. I want Switch 1 games to have enhancements. I don't want them to waste time with a bunch of remasters and stuff. Just Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom run a little better on Switch 2. Legends EA is a Switch game that can run a little better on Switch 2. Like that's all I want. And then focus that development time on new content. So yeah. Exciting times.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Try switching to a different background and then back to this one to see if this goes away.
Okay.
Nope.
Doesn't look like it. Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh,
let's turn the camera off. Okay. Go
Wild.
no background and see what happens. I'm just curious at this point.
Let's see. Okay. Why is it like this?
Did you click no background?
Yeah, I did, and then I went back, and then like it was fine. Like here, it's fine. It looks normal. No background.
I don't actually. I'm still in the mountain.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Wait. Turn your camera off and turn it back on. Maybe that'll help.
Okay.
Okay. Do you still? All right. Turn it back on. Still in the mountain?
Yeah. Weird.
What?
Okay.
We're definitely not. That's weird.
Okay. I'm gonna leave and then come right back.
Okay.
Okay. Don't know what that was about.
You know, that was definitely weird. Let me see. Okay, let's see if it works now. We good?
Yeah.
Do you see the mountains? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Why not?
We're back.
We're back. Okay. We're back, and yeah, we'll do this first. It's been confirmed that when Invincible Season 3 comes back on February 3rd, it'll come with a 3-episode premiere.
Okay, that's better. Now that's better. Now, don't do that and then be like, oh, see y'all next month. Like,
No.
okay, like that's a good start. I like that. That's really good. I know that's
So-
gonna get me going and get
It's so
people back
funny.
into the show.
How it's, in 2023, 2023, we had 4 episodes, a week, one a week, and then a 3-month break. And this time we're getting 3 episodes day one, so like almost as much as we got in that first little chunk. Right?
I know.
That. They did confirm it'll be a weekly release after that, so that's
perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I think they realize that like people are fed up, and it's like, okay, we got to get the people back on our side.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, I'm excited. Like, it's one of those things. I don't need to see any more trailers. I don't need to watch any more. Get any more new information. I'm just ready for February 3rd to get here, so I can. They can put me back, and I really think they will.
Honestly, with this show, I feel like I don't really need the trailers at all. I kind of just want to go because it's like if you've been keeping up with it, it's like the main pending threat is still going on. So I'm kind of like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Next, you finished Creature Commandos, right?
I did.
Okay. Let's talk about that last episode.
Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts about the show as a whole?
It's really good. It's written well. The characters are people you never heard of. Mm-hmm. You had no care about them going in, and then you're out here like, oh man, that's rough. You're feeling for these characters. They're like, their personalities are so distinct. They're funny. They're interesting. They have really good, some of them have really good motivations. And like they're really like good. They're really good, well-written characters. They work off each other excellently. Mm-hmm. It does a great job of having serious moments, but also just says some of the funniest stuff just out of nowhere.
Yeah,
just. I love how the characters are like, they're all that that person. Like that person who's like Dr. Boss and just says what everyone's thinking, but in the most blatant way. And it's just like, hey man, I've seen the princess. He doesn't got more. You're just like, bro. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not wrong, but bro. Like, and it's just like, it's just done really well. I do like that. I do like that there is like, the story, there is a twist, but it's also kind of like, I saw that coming, but also like, okay, that's pretty interesting. I do think it's, it's extremely violent. It's crazy. There's all the things going on as you would expect. And I think it's just done really well. I was really enjoying. Me and my brother were watching it. And he's like, dude, this is so good. I'm like, I know. This is weird, right?
Yeah. So here's kind of like my overall thoughts about the show. I really, really enjoyed the first 6 episodes. And then when we got to the next episode, like, the day leading up to watching it, like, I was on Twitter and saw James Gunn tweet, like, I hope you all enjoy the finale of Creature Commandos. Like, finale? There's only going to be 7 episodes?
Right.
Okay, that's interesting, because we still haven't had Nina's story, and I really like her character, so we're going to have to spend half of this final episode doing Nina's backstory, and then also wrap up the actual story in, like, 10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
And I was a little afraid that it would feel a little rushed and possibly confusing, because they got to, like, tie up a lot of loose ends.
Yep.
And I can't help but feel like it kind of was that. Like, I felt like a lot of kind of major plot points either felt rushed or came out of nowhere. Like, Frankenstein or whatever, yeah, Frankenstein's monster just kind of ate it at the end. Like he got to the castle, he said hi, and then the bride shot him in the face, and he's maybe dead or something. I'm not sure.
Hey, he's fine.
um, like we had over half the episode building up Nina's character, and then she immediately died. like, like before she got to do really anything in like the main story. Like I don't know. I feel like and then like the bride um like revealing that she knew that the princess was evil and then shooting her. That also like it was obvious to the viewer because we've actually seen the whole thing, but I don't know, I felt like it maybe came out of nowhere a little bit for the bride to just turn on a dime and shoot her. Maybe
Yeah.
um
Like they tried to explain it how like oh she saw Kelly face on the tapes or whatever, but I feel like had we seen her seeing that, it would have made a lot more sense. It was kind of just like, oh, by the way, it's fine. And it's like, oh, okay, and then
but they had seen Clayface um before they went to attack the princess. So then when Waller called it off, Nina died, and then the bride just I don't know.
is yeah, it
Just a
definitely ended
little
there.
yeah. I don't know. Like I just feel like if they had just had one more episode, and
I
I
agree.
in a way it's almost kind of I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it not like relieving, but like there's just something familiar about that feeling because every single Marvel show is like that. like Falcon Winter Soldier, it's like, oh, we're building to this cool thing, and in the last episode, a lot of stuff happens, and then it's over.
Yeah.
Same with Hawkeye. It's like, oh, Kingpin's here. Oh, he's gone. Like,
Uh,
well, okay, sure. like Loki season 2 is kind of the only one that kind of in reverse. Like a lot of stuff is happening. Like, oh, actually ended very well.
yeah, a lot of things. They set it up, they can't really stick the landing.
yeah. So yeah, Moon Knight was probably the worst with that.
Oof.
I like that show conceptually, a lot of it, but
Yeah,
anyway.
but like yeah.
Um, so in a way, it's like, oh yes, this is like this feels in line with that other superhero universe, and in a way that's kind of comforting to know that they're all just going to be like this. I don't know, like
I mean, yeah, but like no. I mean, I don't. It's like I don't love that. I don't love the rushed, choppy endings in any capacity.
no.
So
I do think the show holistically is a lot better than pretty much every Marvel show. Like
yeah,
the characters, just the way they interact with each other, with the world, just the fight scenes, everything, just how they made you feel for these characters. Who it's funny that um, outside of kind of Doctor Phosphorus, every single one of these characters who was billed as like the worst of the worst and literal monsters ended up being actually not terrible people. Like none of them should really be in jail. not really. Like Nina
yeah,
didn't do anything. The Weasel got framed by fire. The Brides has been trying to escape Frankenstein this whole time. Um, yeah, Dr. Phosphorus did burn, you know, a mob boss and then took over his crime
yeah.
stuff. So and then Batman got him. So that's that makes sense.
That one makes sense, but it's still kind of like I don't know. For me, it's still kind of like I'm like, bro, with everything he went through, come on now.
hmm So yeah, I like really liked seeing this, these characters and this team develop. Um, I just wish that the last episode didn't have half of it dedicated to a flashback. I wish we could have had one complete episode with the team just going whole hog into this battle, into this war zone, and just going crazy on it like that. It was we got like a little bit of that in the previous episode where Phosphorus's episode where it was him and the bride and like I guess just him and the bride going running away from all those like guards that were shooting at him and
Yeah,
stuff. Like that was a lot of fun.
so awesome.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was it was a solid first season, and I think especially since a lot of the characters for season 2 were going to be the same characters, like we know the Bride, we know GI Robot's back, we know Dr. Phosphorus is back. Yeah,
So hyped to see
so
GI Robot back, and he got an upgrade.
Yes, absolutely. And apparently one of like the mummy type character who was there in that room in the comics, apparently that character um uh brings Nina back to life. So I think I saw one pitch of like, oh, it could be a cool thing where the Bride finds out that this mummy has this ability to revive the dead, and then she like hounds him to bring Nina back to life, but then Nina doesn't come back quite right, and then she realizes, oh no, I've become, Dr. Frankenstein. Like that could be really cool, I think.
Yo, that's deep, bro. That's
Yeah.
like an idea.
Like,
Oh man.
regardless, Nina, I want Nina to come back because I think
Yeah.
she should have some kind of redemption. Like she should be able just to live a normal life.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the technology I have now, they should be able to fix that or magic or something. Somebody can fix that.
Yeah.
Also, they got King Shark in there, who's the same. He seems to be the same King Shark
Mhm.
from the Suicide Squad, so that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of potential for season 2. Like I hope Cersei isn't done in this universe. She's one of the, Wonder Woman has a lot of villains, but none of them outside of like Cheetah and I guess Giganta, Titan, whatever, the big one outside of those two.
Yeah.
There aren't really any that are like obvious A-listers. Cersei is kind of one of the other ones who's, especially more recently in the comics, again, like been building popularity. So if there's, in the Paradise Lost or any other Wonder Woman adjacent, or like a Justice League Dark, or any kind of thing to do with magic or Themyscira, I kind of want her to still be around.
Yeah, she's she's one of the biggest magic using villains for sure. So I think that definitely, I don't think they would just, it would be unwise thematically to just kill her off entirely.
Yeah.
This early on.
Yeah, I'm glad it's getting a season 2. Granted, it's James Gunn's show and he's head of the studio, so it would be weird if he didn't greenlight a sequel to his own show.
Well, I mean, he could also just be like, "Oh, the story's over." You know what I mean? Which it's clearly not. But I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like he can do whatever he wants, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to going from Creature Commandos, which is very much in line with what you would kind of expect from a James Gunn thing, going from that into Superman, which will be wildly different. And I think that'll be interesting to kind of look back and be like, go from the first DCU project being from James Gunn being this ultra violent, team based animated thing, going into like Superman.
Yeah, and like not like weird, like over the top grungy Superman, like legitimate Superman.
Yes. Yeah, I think it'll be good.
I can't wait. I'm so hyped.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of things that are going to be good, we got the first trailer for Daredevil Born Again. And full disclosure, I have decided not to watch that trailer because my roommate and I are currently watching through Daredevil. So I don't want to potentially spoil anything. I just know from like the screenshots and like people reacting to it, it seems like it's what people wanted from a sequel to Daredevil.
Yeah, no, you did the right thing. You did the right thing. Wait, how far are you in Daredevil?
We're about like 7 episodes in.
Oh yeah. You got it.
Yeah. And we're on a decent enough pace where if we're not done by the time the show comes out, like March something, it'll be like within March we'll be able to watch it. So
okay.
Daredevil is one of those shows, and this rarely happens with really any piece of media, but especially superhero shows, where like I'm after every single episode, my initial thought is, wow, I am so glad we started watching this show. Like, there hasn't been a dull moment, a dull
Yeah,
character, a dull scene. Like, every single thing that's happened is some of the best superhero stuff I have ever
yeah.
seen, especially show wise. Because I know my roommate told you, like, he was concerned when I pitched, let's watch Daredevil. He's like, oh, is it going to be one of those, like, Arrow or Flash type shows? Like, no, this is legit.
Oh no. No, 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 no. This is first of all way more violent. Second of
Yes.
all,
And
way more awesome.
yes, and there has to be something to be said about just the. I think two things that this show gets absolutely perfectly is sound design and lighting, because um, most modern movies and shows seem to not know how to light a scene to save their life. Even scenes that are set in broad daylight, you can't tell what's going on half the time. I don't know why. There's just glares, a lot of balloon lighting. They're like, especially at the scenes set at night or in dark places, like you can turn the brightness all the way up in your TV. You can't tell what's going on. There was a scene in the most recent episode I watched of Daredevil where Matt was taking one of the Russian guys, like trying to escape the situation down into this like underground sewer, and it's pretty much completely dark. But then like when the cops on Kingpin's payroll like came in, like Matt was doing all those flips, and I could still, even though it was supposed to be dark, I could still tell what was going on. So kudos for that. But also the sound design of this show is also very good, and like kind of intentionally because he is blind, he
Yeah.
uses the sound to aid him. But also just comparing this to a lot of the CW shows, just the weight of the impact of punches and just you know
It's
various
kind of
like stuff
not
like that.
fair
I know, but
though.
just that
Come
stock
on.
like with every single punch a CW person throws has the same like stock punch sound.
Mm.
Whereas here, like you feel the intensity of every single hit with that they do, and it's I like it so far.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, it just gets better. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's not really much else to say. It's like, yeah, it's pretty great. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the trailer looks like, yeah, we're pretty much just picking up where we left off and we're rolling, which is
Mm-hmm.
what everyone wanted.
Yeah, like my biggest fear is like kind of like I know a lot of the writers are the same, so my biggest fear is the cinematographer the same, is the sound design guy is the same, because like a couple of screenshots I saw, like they looked pretty good, but I don't know if they're good in the same way that the original show was good. I'll have to see it in motion. Um, like the first time I see two characters talk in a dark place and I can't really see what's happening, I'll be genuinely disappointed because I just saw them do it really well over here, and then 5 years later can't seem to get their act together over here. It's just a little, we'll see how that shakes out. But as of right now, I think it's gonna be good. Hopefully.
So, from what we've been given in the trailer, based on what we know about the show, it's like there's no indication it would not be just as good at this moment. And the kind of in the
Mm,
same way how like Deadpool kind of just did exactly what it was doing
okay.
before,
Hmm.
it's kind of like, yeah, we're new management, but like we're kind of still can do whatever we want. I think
Right.
that's kind of the same thing they're doing with Daredevil. And based on that trailer, special, like, it's funny because the trailer, they were like, hey, let's just make sure everyone knows this is still going to be super violent.
Good.
And message was received.
Hmm. Do you Would you recommend watching the Punisher show before watching Born Again, or will the Punisher stuff
Um,
in Daredevil, like, you get it?
I mean, it kind of depends. Like, I mean, there will be some smaller things you probably wouldn't get as much. Like, it's kind of about how much you want to understand. Like, if it's the little things, but I mean, you don't have to,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Okay.
But
I mean,
I'm not gonna say it's like required, but I'm not gonna say it's like you'll be totally fine without it. But I think you'd be, as a person with knowledge of comics, you'll
mhm.
be fine.
Okay. I mean that's cool. Okay. There is one Marvel thing coming out before Daredevil Born Again, that being Captain America Brave New World. And it was revealed that that movie will have a sub 2 hour runtime. So,
In and out.
sure. Like,
I mean, I don't hate that. I mean, when I look at this movie on paper, the idea of a 2.5 hour like sitting and talking and occasionally doing something movie does scare me. So the fact that they're kind of like,
mm,
hey, this is gonna be to the point, action scene, plot, more action scenes, plot, giant action scene, like
yeah.
that works for me here.
Yeah, because
Even if like the story's not gonna be much.
I was a little concerned before hearing this that like every single trailer pretty much is only showing scenes from two action scenes, like him flying around Tiamat and then him fighting Red Hulk. Those are kind of the only two major action scenes that we've seen shown. Like maybe they're both just really long, or maybe there's stuff they're not willing to show. We don't really know anything about what the leader is really up to. Um, we know that Falcon's buddy from the Falcon show is gonna like actually actually be the Falcon to his Captain America now. We haven't really seen much of him in these trailers, so I think there's some that they're not showing, but not. I don't think it's. I don't know. A part of me is a little concerned because the last time I said I was excited for the fact that it was less than 2 hours, we got Thor: Love and Thunder, which I think was fine for what it was. However, it could have been more. Like if it was like 20 minutes longer, I think it would have been a better movie. You know?
Yeah, and sometimes it's not so much about the length, but also how it's used. Because I mean, a lot of movies, it has the time to explain it, and it wastes it, and it still feels rushed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it kind of just depends on. That's more just on the direction and the writing.
Yeah. Because there's times with something like The Eternals, which if that were 20 minutes shorter, it would be a better movie because you can cut out one of those plots. Any pick one.
Yeah.
Pick one of those plots and cut it out, and it's a better movie.
Take two, why don't you? Like, yeah.
Whereas something like Shang-Chi, which is like around 2 hours, I think that's pretty well paced.
Yeah, and it actually fleshed out everything. Nothing felt like too rushed. I mean, yeah, some things resolved some things were kind of like presented and then didn't go anywhere. Like that, like masked, like person in Shang-Chi, like was like, oh, who's this? And then they immediately get dusted by some monster. Like, oh, well,
yeah,
I guess that's not going anywhere.
I feel like there was like concept art of that character that was they were I don't know, like they were gonna be a bigger player, and then they're like, oh, we're at the end of the movie, we forgot to use them, so we'll just like,
kind of, yeah. Which I'm kind of like, that could have been part of a training arc somewhere, but that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping this movie will be good. I think I said this before. It has potential to either be surprisingly really good or one of the biggest dumpster fires of the year. Like I don't feel like there's any in between because this movie had a ton of reshoots. It seems on paper, it seems kind of unfocused. It seems to barely be about Falcon / Captain America. It seems to be more of a Hulk movie with Captain America as the main character. There's just I don't know. I'm a little worried, but also like maybe this is one of the few times where a bunch of reshoots ended up actually being like, oh, we want to make sure this is perfect, and did they get it right this time? Who knows?
I mean, we'll see. Again, this with 2025 being as loaded as it is across the board,
Mm,
if the first one isn't an absolute home run, I get it. But at the same time, I want this to do well because I mean
yeah.
Anthony Mackie deserves this, and also seeing Red Hulk and Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
back in anything is always can be something. So I mean like you want it to do well, but also if it doesn't, it's not like the end of the universe.
Mm, yeah. And if it does turn out bad, Invincible will also be around that time, and then Daredevil will be shortly after. So we'll have some good content to look forward to,
Oh
regardless.
yeah, plenty of content.
Yeah. All right. I think that's everything I have. Is there anything else you want to bring up or discuss before you sign off?
That's all I got. I'm excited to see where we go 2025.
Mm-hmm.
New stuff's dropping.
So with that, we will see you all next time.
Take care.